What's going on, everybody? Griffin Della Penna back again with another episode of the GDP podcast. So far in the early stages of this podcast, you've seen about an episode a week. And earlier this week on Monday, I dropped another episode with Rich Hollenberg, who's a play-by-play broadcaster for ESPN's coverage of college basketball and a studio host for the Tampa Bay Rays. He's one of my great mentors, so make sure if you haven't listened to that episode already, you really need to, because Rich has great insight, not just on the sports broadcast industry, but a lot of great advice that can help you in your own career. And that was on Monday. So now it's Thursday, and I'm already posting another episode, which you might be thinking to yourself, okay, you told us maybe an episode a week. It's just kind of a free-flowing type schedule, which is certainly true. And I had an opportunity that I couldn't pass up. So it was this time last week, and I'm looking at my phone right now because I was just scrolling through my email, and I saw an email from somebody that I don't know, and the header was interview opportunity with Dr. Pepper. So that obviously caught my attention. At that point in time, I've only posted 2 episodes. And I'm thinking, how could Dr. Pepper possibly be wanting me to help out with the campaign or whatever? So, long story short, had some emails back and forth with a marketing agency. And it's a really unique opportunity that I am going to share with you now. So, Dr. Pepper is hosting a special game day event to debut something called the Pepper Portal. It's a first of its kind initiative for a fan experience connecting college football towns, and it starts this Saturday at 3:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at Rama Jammas in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and from 4:30 to 8:30 at Cool Bean Bar and Grill in Knoxville, Tennessee. This is all in preparation for one of the best rivalries in not just the SEC, but in all of college football, for Tennessee versus Alabama. So guests will be able to engage in live events with fans from those rival cities through this new Pepper Portal. They can meet local NIL talent from current teams, and then just celebrate the game day with Dr. Pepper. To mark this occasion, Dr. Pepper partnered with Alabama alumni, former New England Patriots running back Damian Harris, and Tennessee alum and current New England Patriots quarterback Josh Dobbs, who will be sharing their thoughts for Saturday's matchup and then their outlook on this past season. So that was part of my email was, hey, would you like to partner with Dr. Pepper, help us kind of promote this new initiative that we're doing with the Pepper Portal, and have the chance to talk to Josh Dobbs and Damian Harris, which I obviously said I will do that at any point in time. Fast forward to Tuesday, had my time locked up. You're going to hear right now my conversation with Josh Dobbs, who just got done with practice with the New England Patriots, really had a nice conversation about the impact that Tennessee has had on his life, Vol Nation in general, how they've continued to support him throughout his NFL journey. And then unfortunately did have some scheduling conflicts with Damian Harris, as he only had a little bit of availability yesterday on Wednesday. So I thought this was going to be a little twofer, that in this episode I would have Josh Dobbs and then you'd hear from Damian Harris. Unfortunately, that did not happen, but still, here is my conversation with Josh Dobbs as he talks all about Dr. Pepper, Tennessee, and again, this great new initiative with the Pepper Portal. So here is Josh Dobbs. Alrighty, everybody, here with a very special guest here today. New England Patriots quarterback and Tennessee Vol legend Josh Dobbs joins me here today. Josh, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Griffin?
I'm doing real well. Well, before we discuss your collaboration with Dr. Pepper, I got to talk a little bit of Patriots right now. 3 straight wins for you guys. I'm from Buffalo, so we don't have to go into that matchup at all right now. But what are the vibes like right now as you sit atop of the AFC East?
Vibes are definitely high. It's been a good 3 weeks for us. It's been a good start to the season. But as you know, in the NFL, really each week is a season of its own, and the narratives can shift very quickly. So you got to stay locked in on the next opponent. We're going back down, obviously, to familiar territory for me and a lot of people on this staff and organization down in Tennessee. And we're just excited about the next opportunity to go out and compete and to keep our momentum rolling in the right direction.
Yeah, well, it will be a great matchup for you, I know, to get back down to Tennessee. But you're teaming up with Dr. Pepper prior to a great top 25 showdown between Tennessee and Alabama, and you're taking part in the first ever Pepper Portal. So, how did this all begin with this collaboration with you and Dr. Pepper?
No, I'm excited about it. I think, as we know, the third Saturday in October is a great matchup between Tennessee and Alabama. And I think it's very unique what Dr. Pepper is doing, really bridging the gap between Knoxville and Tuscaloosa on game day. We get to show why Rocky Top and the Orange is the best fan atmosphere and the best place in the SEC. And we get to show it to our one of our biggest rivals in Alabama. So it's really cool to see what Dr. Pepper is doing. They're always huge within the college game day atmosphere space. And I think this is another unique way for them to really drive up fandom and drive up a lot of attention around probably the biggest game of the year this Saturday.
Yeah, huge game overall. And there are so many different rivalries in the SEC. You actually made your debut in this rivalry against the Crimson Tide back in 2013. So, what from your experience really just sets this rivalry apart?
Yeah, I think it's the history, it's the tradition. Both teams obviously have been successful. They've had their runs in the SEC, and lately the games that have occurred between the teams have been iconic games. I remember my freshman year, we were at Alabama on the road. We were down as a team. They were definitely rolling at that point. So we were down, I think, 35-0 at halftime. And the starter at the time, he ended up hurting his thumb on the last play of the first half. And so myself as a freshman, we went into the locker room and Coach Jones, Bush Jones was the head coach at the time. He just looked at me and said, "All right, you're up." And we went out of halftime. And I will say, what was exciting about the second half is we tied Alabama. We scored 7 points. They scored 7 points. So it was a moral victory for the Vols that day. But we're definitely planning this Saturday to have a real victory down in Tuscaloosa for the first time in a while.
Yeah, and even in 2015, you went back down to Tuscaloosa your junior year,
Yeah.
put up a really good fight. That team was loaded. They ended up winning the national championship. What do you remember about that game as you guys just fell short?
You don't have to bring up those memories, Griffin. Come on. No, I'm messing with you. That was a dogfight. We back and forth game. We started hot. Um, Field goal, touchdown to start the game. Then it turned into really a defensive slugfest. And at the end of the game, I mean, we drove down, took the lead with just 2 minutes left, and we had them to third and 17, I believe, with a minute left in the game. And Jake Coker scrambled for 17 and a half yards, and then they went down and scored. So that was definitely a tough one. But the atmosphere was electric. Like I think nowhere, I'm obviously biased, is better than Neyland Stadium on a Saturday, but Tuscaloosa definitely rivals it. So I think that's why it's going to be cool. It's going to be really cool seeing the fan atmosphere between Knoxville and Tuscaloosa. I know Dr. Pepper is setting up at Cool Beans, which was one of my favorite spots during my time in Knoxville. And I know they're setting up a Tuscaloosa right next to the stadium. So it's going to be a great atmosphere down there. It'll be a really good atmosphere in Knoxville. And it will be a great opportunity for our fans to compete a little bit against the Crimson Tide. And as I said, show them why we think Rocky Top's always at the top of the SEC.
And you're going up against in this Pepper Portal against somebody that you played in that 2015 game against, former New England Patriots running back Damian Harris. He's the Alabama representative. So I'm a little curious. Do you guys know one another leading up to this, or is this kind of a new, fresh friendship and rivalry?
This will be a fresh friendship and rivalry. I haven't crossed paths with Damien. Honestly, like being in the building up here, Josh McDaniels is our OC, and I believe he was OC for Damien during his time in New England. And so I've heard some tremendous stories about him as a player. I saw him make plenty of plays for the Crimson Tide, unfortunately against us. So I'm glad to I guess, rivaling against him in a more friendly atmosphere. But he was a tremendous player for the Crimson Tide. I got a lot of respect for him.
And then where does maybe some of the trash talk involve yourself in that? It would be different if you've known him for a really long time, but now that it's
I
fresh,
mean,
how do you go? How do you
you
go
can
about that?
respect. you can respect someone and still know that your school's better. So there'll be plenty of trash talk. Like we know we won two of the last three games. We're rolling right now. They're playing good football, but we've gone on the road. We've been tested. We're primed. We're primed to go into Tuscaloosa and plant that Tennessee flag. So it's definitely gonna be a great Saturday. I know the weather will be gorgeous. It's gonna be a nice, crisp fall air. I'm excited. I'll be tuned into the game every second, but I'll be talking my fair share of smack to Damian and any other Alabama person that I come across over the next week. That's for sure.
As you should. And I know you're a guy who loves to talk about Tennessee, and they really set you up, not even just in the classroom as you're an aerospace engineer, but also on the field as you've had this long road in the NFL. Just how awesome is it to have a fan base that still is just so invested in you, even when you're not in Knoxville anymore?
It really means the world. Like to have people that watch you grow up from the time you're 18 to 22, and then now being 30 to have supported really every step of my journey. I have a lot of love for that place. Like I always say it, anytime I go back to Knoxville, it always feels like I'm back home. I'm from Atlanta and I don't live in Knoxville in the off season, but that place is truly home in my heart. And as you said, like I played against the best competition in the SEC week in and week out. I was able to study to the degree that I love off the field in aerospace engineering, and I created a ton of bonds and relationships with people, both in the classroom, on the field with my teammates, and all across the city of Knoxville. So I love going back, and I love supporting our Vols every Saturday and rocking my orange and making sure they go out and have a great week.
The NFL schedule, it's rigorous, but when was the last time you were able to go back to Knoxville and see some familiar faces?
So I made it back. I make it back a good bit in the off season. I have a golf tournament for all former athletes at the University of Tennessee, which is always a blast, and it's around Orange and White weekend. So it's a great weekend back on Rocky Top. I make it back a couple other times as I've served on the alumni board for the university since I graduated. But for a game, I made it back last year to the Tennessee Florida game, which is obviously probably our second biggest rivalry behind Alabama. And then, so I try to make it back at least once a year to a game if it times up with our bye week or with our Thursday night game. So we'll see if I can make it back this year during the season. But if I don't, I'll definitely be back in the off season to take in the beautiful city of Knoxville.
And you just mentioned it too, being able to be back in Knoxville, so important to you. Year nine right now, seven different teams. Could you have imagined when you were with Tennessee that you would be in the league for this long and making an impact with all of these different organizations?
I definitely saw myself being in the league this long. Being with this many organizations, probably not. But it's funny, like you begin your road in the NFL, and as everyone, right, you think it's going to be the typical journey where you get drafted to a team, go through your trials and tribulations there and become the starter that everyone plans to be and play somewhere for 20 years and right off into the sunset. And then once you actually get into the business, you start looking around at the normal, I guess, life of an NFL player. That is very rare to be at one place for so long. And so I spent 5 great years in Pittsburgh. And then after that, it's definitely been the gauntlet of organizations, but every stop along the way has been a growth in my journey and my career and a great opportunity to be around some tremendous players and coaches and push for everyone's goal to win a great Super Bowl. So I'm enjoying where I'm at up here in Boston. I got a great staff and great teammates around me, and I've enjoyed the ride for sure. And at the end of the day, it'll be definitely some great stories and memories. And at the end of the day, a great opportunity to travel the country, live in various places, and do what I love and play football every single day.
And throughout your journey, you also have had to cross paths with a lot of Vols alumni and all those different stops too. So what's that like when you have maybe a familiar face or another alum that was also in the program that maybe on Saturdays you can go watch the Vols in action?
It's a joy. Like everywhere I go, the first thing I look for is like who are the balls I know there, whether on the coaching staff, whether they're players, whether they're just in the front office. because it truly is a family. Like guys that go to Tennessee, we call them Vols for life because everyone truly embodies, that they are a volunteer for life. So we're locked in on the games. And honestly, like sometimes, even if it's different people that we didn't even play in the same decade, you still feel like that you're teammates just because you're cheering for the Vols. So I love it. We don't have any Vols up here in New England, so I've definitely been on a lot of text threads with some former players and coaches that I played with. But every Saturday, everyone I know, we're locked in and cheering on our Vols, and I know everyone will be rocking their orange this Saturday and to cheer on our guys in Tuscaloosa.
I always love seeing on social media too when there's these different rivalries between teammates and they have maybe stipulations on the line where they have to wear the opposing guy's colors. Have you ever been part of one of those deals before or no?
Oh, all the time, all the time. Unfortunately, I was on the wrong end of one with some trainers up here in New England who went to Georgia. My guy Steven in the training room got me. And then last year, I was on the wrong end of one against Arkansas. But I've been on the right end a lot lately. So anybody who's from Alabama wants to wager, I got plenty of Josh Dobbs jerseys for them to rock next Monday. That's for sure.
I absolutely love it. Quick one before I let you go here, Josh. Game prediction. Maybe some throughout the game, what it's going to feel
Yeah.
like, and then a score at the end.
I mean, it's going to be rocking down there. I think we've been known to start fast, so I think we keep that up. We score early. As I said, Alabama still has players. They've been playing well, so it's going to be back and forth, but I think game-winning field goal, 34-31, good guys.
All righty.
So
I'll hold you to it.
let's go.
Thank you very much for the time, Josh. I appreciate it. Good luck Saturday. Thank you for listening to this episode of the GDP podcast. Again, huge shout out to Dr. Pepper for allowing me to talk to Josh Dobbs and again be one of the first ever podcast to really talk about the Pepper portal that will be instilled for this Tennessee Alabama rivalry. And I think you're going to continue to see that throughout the rest of the college football season. So definitely was not expecting to be able to partner up with a brand of Dr. Pepper's magnitude, especially this early on in the podcast. But it shows that I'm doing something right. And I know that I'm not going to build a crazy huge audience overnight. But again, I'm starting to see those building blocks come into place, continuing to reach out to some people that I know in the sports broadcast industry, other athletes and coaches. And I think we're building something really cool here. So if you're one of the first few listeners and subscribers to the GDP podcast, maybe we're going to see this continue to grow and evolve over time. So can't thank you enough for your support. Again, shout out to Dr. Pepper and Josh Dobbs, and we'll see you next episode of the GDP podcast.